His arm swung up to meet the charge, taking it like a lightning rod. And easily deflected, the resistance of the skin of her hands grew to the level of rubber gloves. The mad hermit could pick up bare wires with his bare hands without fear of electrocution. Changed the movement of the lightning, surprised chicken dragon, the kid showed a good result. But from most of the lightning still, the hermit had to dodge, the electrocuted coach reckoned. Even with infinite revival on a training server without much comprehension skill, it wouldn't be that easy for the system to rack up stats. Already in the fight against Emo Boy, Chicken Dragon realized that the guy is not ordinary even among Matrix cheaters. It's not like he's been saving up skills for a long time, Snake observed. What is the source of the cheats? Self-discipline, Dragon wondered. But it doesn't give as much power. You can't extract too much mana from a human body either, thought Dragon. That's it, he remarked, observing the Korean nerd for a bit longer. The one no longer screamed in pain as the lightning bolt struck him, enduring in silence. Every time after a fall, the crazy Korean rocky asshole would get back up. It was the thing in his eyes, Dragon realized. No complaints, no regrets, a steadfast spirit, and a little bit of Sharon. The hermit fended off another lightning bolt. Incredible focus was pushing through the mechanics of the Matrix. He had sped up his own time, relative to everyone else's, and now he could already catch lightning bolts that weren't slowed down. The hermit easily controlled the flow of electricity with his fingertips, repelled, deflected, and received all the lightning bolts that the chicken dragon sent at him. Suddenly the rain stopped, the mad hermit noticed. 5 minutes at full speed, as agreed, said Dragon, having completed the test. That's it already. Couldn't believe the hermit. Do you want a refill? Asked the flying Tesla coil. Give me the contract, the document where the bounty issued sly face, said the hermit. But after all, karma is received since the rain is over, said the cunning snake, but Hyunwoo did not feel anything. The thing is, he's gained access to karma, but the skills themselves are still locked, Dragon explained. The hermit remembered that the Monkey King had said the same thing when he was training him to use the staff. Now, too, the hermit realized, the use of karma already depended on personal skill. Even possessing blood acceleration cheats, it's not easy to get the skill to use them, Dragon said. So from that moment on, the mad hermit began to suspect something amiss. That's right, get ready to receive the full anus applicanus technique, grinned Chicken Snake. Master Freezer patiently counted all the sheep, and he waited for the chains slowly fell off, with slow motion animation. The tech was already asleep, but because of the video picture, he was still standing in jail. I had to wait until the end. Whether it's an ice age or a stitch-up in all the supermarkets, Master Freezer was wondering at the exit. Well rested in our punishment cell for the rabid, a border guard greeted the prisoner. It was dark in the cell, so when Freezer climbed out, a bright light hit his eyes. Have you gone completely feral already? Asked the merrily mad border guard. Didn't run away then? The master of the hidden poor replied calmly. And when he escaped, he went straight into phase 2 of the procrastinator. Matrix changed her clothes to a strange garb of medieval motifs. You'd better think of a way to get home, the hermit suggested. He doesn't think he can take care of a freezer in 5 days. The hermit didn't hesitate either and put on his vest, monkey. Rotten monkey already seen it, said Master Freezer. So that's not all. There is a special technique learned recently on himself, said the hermit, and covered in static electricity to keep from freezing. Lightning bolts struck the ice crows with procrastination inside. And who put the horns on? The freezer asked the mad hermit. These are horns like a trolley bus, explained the polite border guard. Electricity supply. Now we'll wire the freezer too. And shined his contacts right into the freezer master. The one was struggling to wave his crowbar away with a tire iron. Ice Age, the wizard chanted, and blocks of ice appeared around the hermit. Rusty activated Hyunwoo's telescopic baton, and he swung his stick properly. A wide radius attack shattered all the ice around the hermit. Just turned on the ice maker and he's breaking everything, the freezer man resented. Great, the chicken dragon techniques were working. The hermit rejoiced. Tao techniques were given with difficulty, as the hermit did not do well in school. I had to adopt something else, not from the Tao techniques, the hermit remembered. Having studied this thing, according to Chicken Snake, there will be no more restrictions. The nature of this power is the complete opposite of Freezer Ice's karma, but Hyunwoo was still worried. But now he was easily the ice master of procrastination. Ego-cold energy couldn't get through the heated vest. A new hermit skill. Where did the horns from the chicken trolley come from? Master Stitching asked. 5 days ago, that wasn't there. The ninth-floor frontiersman was a mere average guy, Freezer recalled. The manganese lord had only authorized the use of the chicken dragon karma to Amoboy, whereas this guy had gotten it. The hidden poor master was perplexed. Determined to pour quietly, the mad hermit asked the frozen Freezer. Thoth was actually distracted by the stack and missed the hermit's punch. Now we'll file it as illegal smuggling of freezer appliances, said Hyunwoo. And we'll write a fine for late fees too, the hermit added. And we'll take away the vodka, gloated the good border guard. The hermit quickly read his driver's license and made a correct arrest of the illegal alien. No injuries, the detainee himself accidentally tripped over the border guard's boot. Whereupon the honest border guard made a thorough search in all places. But the illegal didn't want to give up, so he turned the freezer back on full blast. With quick, concerted action, the frantic border guard cut the power to the dangerous device. The freezer fell to his knees, he decided quietly. Even if you have to use all your strength, abruptly tore the illegal alien aside. I'll freeze it like a mammoth, the illegal promised and added wings to the image. Did you spend all your gold on skins? The hermit asked him in surprise. Oh, froze the montage, but it's going to crumble now from one hit of the bailout stick. Hyunwoo teased. Don't worry, it's a special metal, it's stronger than a monkey's staff, Freezer said, offending Makaka, and like a true warrior went bayoneting in a world with magic and art strikes. The hermit dodged, still it wasn't worth it to expose himself to dangerous blows. The procrastinating ravens flew at him again from all directions, Freezer combining attacks. But Hyunwoo quickly turned them off with a lightning bolt from the chicken trolley. Unfortunately for him, there was no less procrastination. More was coming from the freezer. Chicken Dragon's karma was running out, felt the hermit. It was time to end the fight. He let the enemy get close and grasped the bayonet with isolated palms. Didn't Mom teach you not to touch other people's stuff? Master Procrastinator asked, and he was surprised when he was lifted into the air with the tire iron, just to be slammed to the ground like a bag of bones. And there's nothing to stick in your face, the hermit replied to the lying illegal alien. The hermit concentrated. Time flowed slower for him than for the others. He had learned to use his fingers deftly to control the lightning, but it wasn't enough. Use the power of the chicken dragon, the serpent told him. The karma of lightning that was given to the dragon from above shimmered in the hermit's hands. Hyunwoo absorbed all the karma in one decisive blow. Shcha Kritanu, he held his breath. Together with the acceleration of his CPU, he could perform such powerful attacks in an instant. Chicken Snake's Speed Thunder activated the hermit's skill. The crit was successful, and the animation of the Jedi dissolving into the Force started. With only the plague mask left of him, the hermit was finally able to catch his breath. A notice has gone out that another illegal alien has been eliminated. Flashbacks of Vietnam rolled through the hermit, how long he had plowed to upgrade his information, and it finally happened. Perfect time to visit the white-haired woman, the hermit decided, and commanded the entrance to the bailout room. But nothing changed. The download failed, or the command didn't work, he guessed. Der password sim open, he muttered the magic words, but he still couldn't get in. 5 days later, Shuken would pick him up after the interview, moonlighting as a hermit driver again. 5 days later, he still hadn't been able to access the system. And even though he had increased access to information, he couldn't read the characteristics of the freezer's server. Maybe something happened to the white-haired neural net, worried the hermit. He got hit hard by the CPU acceleration and was in the hospital for a bit and couldn't charge Mangaka's portmanteau in the maze. Of course, you could have entrusted it to the ardent and passionate students. Master, here's the best medicine in the form of candles. Call you to cure them, they jumped on him. But the hermit brushed it off, due without alternative medicine. The girls were very upset, but they didn't stop dreaming about it. After all, they are his faithful disciples, smiled the hermit. Good work, he ruffled their silky hair, let them rest. Obey and obey, replied the disciples in chorus. At least in this they agreed, thought the hermit. Once he loaded the porta-potty and visited Noah, everything would become clear, Hyunwoo decided. He looked around. The Hikikomori programmer's workplace was clean. Hadn't decided to clean up the pig, the hermit asked. It's so clean, the hermit couldn't get used to it when Noah asked him what was wrong. Here, Hyunwoo held out the freezer's mask, coincidentally, his server. The lights aren't on the modem, so there's no connection, the hermit asked. Appearance isn't important, explained the programmer, but this karma still wouldn't fit a hermit. You need to be good at magic to use it, the developer explained. Hyunwoo was disappointed, but that wasn't the only question for Noah. He couldn't get into the system room, the mad hermit said. What do you mean, enter? The developer asked. Instead of answering, he looked surprised. Help the room where Av lives. Doesn't Noah know about this, thought the hermit. Why is he getting serious? Hyunwoo thought as he watched the programmer's reactions. This requires an introductory explanation to answer, the developer said. That system room isn't as simple as it looks, Noah prepared for the story. All this time, the system information was going to Hyunwoo through the help room with Av, the developer clarified. Still, he was confused, the programmer rubbing his beard thoughtfully. This place was not created by the developer, he told the mad hermit. This space is kind of not in the Matrix, Noah explained. But it's only gotten more confusing, Hyunwoo thought. He is not the only frontiersman in the Matrix, there are others, the developer said. And such a thing was seen. The developer opened a system window in front of the hermit. It's a search skill that comes with the rank of border guard, but Hyunwoo didn't have it. After the Matrix was created, someone exploited a vulnerability in the system and created this room. It's only a hypothesis, the programmer said, but it's possible he knows the girl Av. She may be related to the sysadmin they created the search box with. The hermit was stunned at such a statement that a white-haired runt could do such a thing. Av sysadmin, he couldn't believe his ears. That neuron what? A slob, a computer game enthusiast, a network with a weak processor, he remembered the girl. Such assumptions, just finished the developer's thought. We'll have to ask her herself, the hermit thought. How to get to the system room? He asked the developer. Noah promised to find this room, and Hyunwoo breathed a sigh of relief that at least something had been dealt with. Now get him to tell him everything he didn't tell him last time about the illegal refrigerator smuggler. The Lord of Manganese was sitting in the empty hall again, conferring with himself. The monk was on his knees, wondering how to account for the lost karma. You can't leave an outsider alive, replied the monk, timidly. From the beginning they wanted different things. The monk heard the will of the Lord. He knew everything beforehand, but he didn't stop the monk because he wanted to see what would come of it. Everyone trapped in the Matrix has different desires. Of course, we are talking about players, not mere mortals, said the Lord. Do as you wish, smiled contentedly Lord. He would benefit from either outcome. No restrictions. Let him go and kill the border outsider. The Lord spread his hands, giving full carte blanche to eliminate. But everything should take no more than a month. If even after so many victories, the frontiersman is defeated by a monk, he's worthless. But if the lad defeats the monk and gets to the top, heard the monk the Lord's terrible wager. That then becomes the best dinner, grinned the cruel Lord ominously. So the original purpose of the tower had changed and it had become a laboratory for testing, the hermit concluded. And so illegals seek to climb the Matrix tree by following a new script. Some may become illegal for personal reasons, but not all, Noah explained. And all for karma, the hermit asked him. Destroy their world to get back the stolen karma? Yes, they are nuts decided by a crazy hermit. That's right, they are scoundrels and moral freaks, Noah confirmed. So there's something to discuss, Noah said, and poured something stronger into a glass. If Hyunwoo wants to help regain control of the Matrix. How quiet. The hermit guarded the couch all alone. On the other hand, someone was still present, but she couldn't be called human. Alice the fox was sniffing quietly on the bed, with her tails fluffed. The illegal fox used to run around like an animal, but now it's back to human form. What a pose and view. The hermit was shy and decided to touch the vixen a bit. Don't snore, animal. He poked his finger at the fox to get it to wake up and stop whining. Woof, master of the house broke out a runaway animal, not knowing how to behave. Why was she only climbing the Matrix tower? The hermit asked her. And why all of a sudden she wanted to answer with a question. But she faltered at one glance from the hermit. I'll tell you everything, squeaked the vixen. The furry pelt's former habitat was destroyed. And so it escaped, said Fox. Someone stole her karma and said he'd give it back if she went up the tower. He took the karma of the whole level, too. There was no other choice, the fox continued. But Hyunwoo heard a familiar white noise. The system put a filter on this information. So now she doesn't need to climb the tower anymore, the hermit asked. She'd had enough of her karma, her litter box, her food bowl, and she'd been branded, the hermit thought, examining the living coat. Master will give a yummy treat, the fox asked and wagged all her tails. So take it yourself, what's the problem? He asked as he watched the fox jump to the shelf. He brought out a jar and held it out to the hermit. There was an inscription on the lid. No more than 1 stick a day, wrote cute Seo Yeon in her beautiful handwriting. They're trained, the hermit wondered. He's the one who has that effect on them, Hyunwoo thought. You can eat as much as you want. We'll buy more when you run out, said the irresponsible hermit. It's not drugs, he thought, and left, saying goodbye to the fox that was already drooling. How's it going at the zoo? The hermit asked the hermits of the seniors that had hooked up to the same server. Who made a pile under his favorite pine tree, resented the hairy macaca. It's a natural process. Snakes have a cloaca, Chicken Dragon explained. All the more reason for it to clean itself, he said. But macaca couldn't stop stinking for another week, he shouted. I'll chop in now, the server owner indignantly pined, the hermit listening to their altercation. Chicken Dragon was a useful source of information, but was constantly bickering with Monkey. Enough already, are you like animals? The hermit tried to stop them. There's something I want to ask, he told the old farts. The two muzzles stared at him with interest, oblivious to the altercation. Why did they stick their heads into the tower? The hermit asked them. So they went into the tower to fight with the people upstairs who were in charge, Hyunwoo realized. That's why there were only scrappy images left of them, not a full body, the dragon explained. And they started bickering with Monkey again about minor details. Maybe put them in enclosures too, thought the mad zoo director. Why such questions? Wondered the Monkey King, asking the hermit. Hyunwoo wondered if these two might respond to the idea of a tower tree crusade. As long as the system stays the same, illegals will pepper and genocide every level in their path. First, we need to eliminate the tester, said the developer, naming the first item in their plan. He regulates the balance in the Matrix Tower and all matches, and is located on the ground floor, Noah explained. If you eliminate the adjuster, you get an important key, Noah explained. But how to get there? Asked the topographically cretinistic hermit. Underground floor, the menagerie interjected, the hermit nodding as he asked them the same question as Noah. It's easy, and killing the tester is easy too, said the hairy macacus. He was already climbing the tower. Isn't she strong, thought the hermit upon hearing such an answer. Before the meeting, however, there is something to be done, Macaque thought to himself. But the journey itself will not be easy. He gave out secret information. Floor 0 is not tied to the tower tree, and you can't get there in the normal way. But exactly how, Macaque didn't know, which infuriated the mad hermit. You should also beware of corpses, Mikasa said meaningfully. Empty shells of illegal aliens are collected at Ground Zero. The consciousness images are stored on the servers, and the bodies are transferred to the morgue in the basement. Useless minds are disposed of, and the strong ones are preserved in hidden levels of the Matrix. The morgue kept the physical bodies in the morgue just in case, Macaque said. And why such a separation? Asked the hermit. The two monkey kings tried just to speculate, as their ears squeaked nastily from the data filtering. We need to get to the first floor, the hermit realized, and from it jump to Ground Zero. The journey would take 10 days, he learned. He would find out the rest from Noah, the hermit decided. To get to Noah again, it was necessary to charge Mangaka's portmanteau. This infuriated the hermit. For frequent use, this was becoming a problem. It was all about timing. He's a border guard and couldn't be away from duty for long. I gave you a vacation. Why did you come back? He asked the student who entered. It's been a long time since we've seen each other, she spoke in her demon-lowly voice. Demonaloli, asked the hermit warily. Too wary, too he feared, stated the ancient Loli. There was no need for that, she said, and the hermit grabbed her by the horns. They really are real. He pulled them to the side, comfortable to hold, the hermit thought. She says not to be wary, but how to believe her, asked Hyunwoo, since they fought before. Believe me. The demonic Loli in Myeong's body almost cried. After playing with the horns, the hermit let go of the demoness that sat in the body of his dear apprentice. Ta tried to convince him to be honest, but just kept repeating the same thing. The fox was snoring peacefully, not even awake. What a useless animal they have made, thought the hermit. Come on, talk, he said to the offended demoness, who did not understand how only the mistress of the body could follow after the mad teacher. Mi Ryong was training in the inner world, and Demonaloli was in charge of her body, just cleaned up, the hermit thought. And why that? The hermit asked. But the hermit only replied that the cat girl was similar to Demonaloli, and therefore of interest to her. What a soulmate, the hermit wondered, and the demoness confirmed that this was exactly how they could become even more alike. Tomorrow I'll tell the rest of the story, interrupted the insolent demoness. She wasn't going to share much, and the hermit thought about cracking her open. What kind of training, he asked? It didn't seem like there was a threat coming from the demoness at the moment. Because of the past defeat, the Dragon Empress had expressed her desire to become slicker, and was now swiping at the demoness's servants. So Mi Ryong will get karma too. It's in their favor anyway, thought the hermit. Illegals will be walking around here no end, so it's good for the girl herself. But there's a small request. The demoness squinted slyly. All from the influence of this body, but her own interest too, Demonoli spoke cryptically. Mi Ryong's identity is on a secret server, but here her body is still on fire, the demoness sang sweetly. Because of that, Mi Ryong's essence remained the same. She gave the hermit a sly look. Closer to the body, the atmospherically inept mad hermit told her. No big deal, just stay the night, the demoness suggested. Nightmares are dreaming. At first, the hermit didn't understand the sentence, but then, as understood. An old demoness in the body of a young cat. Nightmares will come to him. What's with the face? Noah asked cheerfully, pouring a fresh kefir. Is there any way to get to the secret apartment right away? He asked the developer. To get here, you have to use mangaka's loincloth. It's been sweating for a long time and it stinks, the hermit explained. It's really not pleasant, Noah thought, and took a sip of the invigorating tea. Okay, I'll put together a separate artifact, but it will have to wait, promised the lazy programmer. It will take 2-3 weeks, Noah said, and Hyunwoo was fine with that. Moving on to the main issue, he said. What's the fastest way to get to floor 0, the morgue? He asked the developer. It would be a problem if a strong illegal like last time showed up while he was away, the hermit said. Find the testator item, Noah told the mad hermit. It takes an item related to the tester to get into the morgue, just like he got into Noah's secret apartment. But how to get it? The hermit asked, and Noah promised to see. Strange. No matter how many times I look, I don't see a crooked programmer surprised. Just using the secret passage, asked the annoyed hermit. Perhaps he can take advantage of that, reinserted ad space developer. And so the secret back passage is still there, the hermit clarified. Is there any problem with it? He asked the thoughtful developer. Not now, there's even a navigator for the dumb. Noah gave the device to the hermit. The hermit looked at his status, navigator for stupid people with topographical cretinism. It meant there. But what's the problem? The hermit couldn't wait to hit the road. The artifact leads reliably, but the road itself is crooked, the developer explained. You can only get to the location that is entered in the coordinates. But if the place is destroyed, he can't come back from it, Noah said. Hang in the space of imaginary numbers on the fields of the matrix, the developer explained. It's like the secret servers of illegal aliens, asked the hermit Noah. No, Noah said. This place was different. This space in the outer wall of the tower, once there he was doomed to wander forever in an endless void. Why was it created, the hermit wondered, and Noah replied that it was put together by the renegades on the development team. If it picks a navigator and finds the right space, it will get there in a matter of moments, the developer said. Long and soft or fast and hard, the essence of each choice was realized by the hermit. What to choose? Pondered the mad hermit with topographical cretinism. Resolved, Hegel's voice came from Agent Rosa's book. No, replied the girl sitting in the KGB main office, and the book asked why. Why think so long? Others will sell their souls for the truth, seduced by the philosophical grimoire. Really? Wondered the girl with the flowery nickname. Even though she was better than all the previous underdogs the book had taught, she still mastered only half of the book. And really, it was worth studying philosophy to the end, the girl decided. She had thought so, back when her teacher had told her the truth about the Matrix world. Especially since that little one has also started practicing, intelligence reported. But that means that the mentor is alone. In other words, no one will interfere with them, the girl dreamed. The little splinter kept getting tangled under his feet, and their strength was equal, so there was no way to simply get rid of it. But since she's not here now, it's time to take the bull by the horns. Rose smiled sweetly. So it's best to put philosophy aside for now. The Mad Emperor's successor jumped in. Is there anything more important than getting power? Asked Hegel's spirit. Much, trampled on all book pride, in a word, Chief Cat Lady. If training can be interrupted whenever you wish, then you will begin training, asked the book, not knowing how else to entice the student. Hold the portmanteau, but wash it afterward, gave the hermit the source of the horny one's evil. And what is she for? He asked the demoness in her apprentice's body. In order for Mi Ryong to receive Loli's karma, the demoness replied. Is it so distrustful? Demoness asked, after seeing the hermit's suspicious look. Mi Ryong asked for a tailor and was very nervous. Maybe she was threatened, the hermit thought. It's worth apologizing for the past, the demoness said, and the hermit didn't immediately know what she was talking about. Then the Dragon Empress became very angry, the demoness said. The demoness shook her hands. She didn't admit her guilt, and Mi Ryong remembered all the dialogues the demoness had. That's goodbye for now, said the horny beast, and waved her catgirl pen. Be careful out there, she said. What another show of concern, the hermit was wary. Rather worried about the girl host, said the illegal Loli, what the girl might do if the hermit goes missing. And to Chicken Dragon, say hello to that lizard, she said lastly. Some kind of freak show, thought the hermit. And more of them. The hermit pulled out Hermione's pouch, time to hit the road. The two Ecchi recognized the horned one, and remembered her in no mean quiet words. What is this about? Asked the hermit. But Chicken Dragon got off the subject. Does he really know Demona Loli? The hermit wondered, and the dragon marveled at how the deviless called herself even more. Also Karma, the hermit heard, through the long hesitations of the censored matrix. Ask Loli directly, Macaque suggested to the hermit. We'll deal with that later, agreed the mad hermit. Do you want to send a cloud of Duri to test the artifact? Monkey asked. Then through Macaque's karma, the location of the Duri cloud could be illuminated. But if they miss, it's just a consolation that he's not the one who's missing. The hermit summoned a cloud of dope, and Kumar filled the entire house. Putting on the monkey's flea vest, he directed the cloud at the artifact. That one was slowly sucked into the drain like a portal, the hermit thought. Move, he commanded to the lazy developer's artifact. Cloud successfully connected to the remote level. Noah's modem squealed. Since the hermit had now gotten Macaca karma, it would be easier for him to control the cloud. Hyunwoo tuned his senses and immersed himself in his inner vision. He slowly opened his eyes inwardly where the cloud was. Great! There it is, the hermit saw, the back of the matrix in front of him. There was a mountain of corpses decomposing in the morgue, bodies lying huddled one on top of the other. Frankenstein girl, digging through that stinking, rotten pile of pus. The thing being sought glowed faintly in the darkness of the morgue of the Matrix's ground floor 0. Found a trinket, rejoiced the Frankenstein girl. Preparations complete, the smallest thing left to do, the chimera climbed up on her multiple limbs. What's in it for me? Read in the Buddha statue's eyes. Once again it acted as a punching bag. And not just her, others from the Demona Loli rubber-faced diaspora have gotten a lot of flack, too. The Dragon Empress had issued everyone a certificate for sanatoriums, but they still couldn't be used by anyone in this level of the Matrix. The girl finished off one and immediately shifted her gaze to another target, instantly destroying a fearsome-looking monster. One at a time, they were worth little. And even piling on all of them, and there wasn't much of a diaspora. But their main virtue was that the freaks never ran out and kept on peppering. Exhausted, the Dragon Empress reacted more slowly, and the raking hands got to the fragile girl to paw at her. The rubber faces did not forgive such miscalculations and rushed after the enemy. Demona Loli stopped the simulator beating rubber friends, and they melted into thin air. What are we waiting for? Demoness asked when she entered the training cave. Away from the fetishists, in the safety of the inner server, she could walk freely in all her glory. Why the hell did she do that? The first Catwoman nearly cried. Clearly not because of the monsters. So angry, clapped her hands admiringly at Demoniloli. Don't change the subject whenever you want, the Dragon Empress shrieked angrily. But she apologized already, as the girl asked. Demonoli replied. Helped a little. Since they were now sharing the same body, the demoness excused herself. Every night only dreamed of the teacher, teased by the insidious demoness. Poor thing, what to do now, innocent maiden, said the deviless with her hands. With a teacher covered in flames, a mad student, but she likes him, objected the demoness. He's a teacher, cried out the embarrassed maiden. But she loves him after all, said the demoness bluntly. And that's why she drools with rainbow dreams every night, demoness finished the girl. Suffering only makes things worse for herself, she told the frustrated Dragon Empress. But I won't joke like that again, promised the demoness in the contract. But in that case, the secret weapon's usefulness would be lost, she said, and Miryong's ears perked up. How old do you think she is? The demoness asked. How many men she has seduced? She began a sly conversation. Who would fall for such a thing? The Dragon Empress said indignantly. He'll succumb at once, said the grandmother in maiden form smugly. No doubts we must strike while the iron is hot. The insidious demoness has set her nets. There is no more skillful woman in the entire matrix, smiled the deviless slyly. A noble monk with centuries of abstinence, he could not resist her charms. The emperor, with his many concubines, fell at the feet of Demonoli. Everyone fell before the charms of the extraordinarily beautiful Demon Lola. The girl's teacher is still an insensitive chump, but even he can't resist Demonololi's charms, she said proudly. In one fell swoop, Demonolili chattered self-consciously, but Miryong listened with her mouth hanging open. This meeting will be fateful, noodled the inexperienced maiden, the old grandmother. She can only share the secret with the Empress of Dragons, the demoness said. The innocent maiden both wanted and poked. Don't you need a teacher if you've been thinking for so long, the deviless said to the innocent girl. However, first, you need to get Demonololi's karma, name the deviless the price of seduction services. A crowd of rubber friends surrounded the shy and innocent maiden. Polkan, the first floor border guard, stood guard at the only entrance to the floor. Woof, he blurted out as he spotted the intruder, wearing a tracksuit. Please, here are the documents and the pass, showed everything to his colleague, the mad border guard. Quickly the hermit said disappointedly, but Makak asked hurriedly to find the keys. This one, the hermit asked, fumbling for the only key in the guard dog's pocket. There's a small slot in the wall for it. The hermit remembered the developer's instructions. The morgue doors automatically unlocked. Now we can go down to the basement, the hermit thought. There was no order in this crypt. All the bodies lay as they had been thrown here by the system. The e-book with Hegel's spirit was slightly battered by the current of bad contacts. What a piece of junk Agent Rosa thought as he leafed through the ancient artifact. Reached Nietzsche, well done, third step, praised the book. But what is that languid look, asked the book. All because of him, because of the teacher, clarified the book. He was not there, the maiden replied. When she went to visit him, it turned out that the teacher had already left without saying goodbye, Rosa recalled. Such an opportunity is in the cat's tail, angered the devoted student. After the third step, she became even more irritable. Not good, Hegel's spirit reflected. Do you want to seduce this mentor? Hegel's spirit asked, and the cat girl perked up her ears. The solution lies quite close, the spirit told her. The girl listened attentively. If it reaches the last stage of the book, we'll be able to control the feelings of the mentor. The maiden heard the suggestion. Are you suggesting playing with your favorite teacher's feelings? Agent Rosa asked sharply. Hegel's spirit at once denied everything, but the cat girl did not restrain her anger. The thing is, he's not the only target. The book quickly corrected itself. The language of the soul can be used on that little girl, quickly dusted off the Talmud before it was wasted. Agent Rosa marveled at the little girl, changing from anger to mercy. And conspiratorially propping her chin up with her fist, the Talmud gave out the deed. Sounding great, Rosa thought of all the creative ways to use her new powers. Control of that girl will be possible after going to the 5th volume, Encyclopedia of Philosophy, said Hegel's spirit. Good, agreed the maiden steadily, applying the new plan. Split in half and die, Agent Rose said, as she used the force on a simple book. In Stage 3, she could use the force on inanimate objects. The magic clearly worked on one of the many books from the Len Ying library. The book went to recycling with the spine cracked as it was ordered. Yuck, yuck! The mad hermit kicked the rotting piece of meat and it slurped up slop. The morgue reeked of death. The freezer must have been stolen from here, and the tester was still nowhere to be found, the hermit thought. If left in place, the rotting zombies would continue to pester. He jumped on the head of one of them. Pushing off, the hermit flew higher to look around. It seems the right point was at this level of stench after all. In the distance in the mountains was an abandoned castle, the only structure amidst mountains of corpses. It was crawling with zombies that were poorly preserved without a freezer. Let's go take a look, said the hermit when he reached the castle gate. Be careful, the Monkey King warned him. These zombies are not so easy. These are no ordinary corpses, he said, as the bulging eye sockets of one of them glittered with anger. One zombie warrior attacked, a powerful chopping lunge, so that the hermit barely had time to dodge. Hyunwoo pushed off from the opposite wall and rushed to meet the zombie warrior himself. The blast attack tore the one apart with a deafening pop. But a bunch more semi-autonomous corpses ran to take the place of one. They suffered the same fate. The hermit quickly disposed of them. The impacts left a deep crater underneath, so powerful had it become. He certainly suspected that the corpses of illegals would not be easy. But in fact, they still retained physical attributes, having overcome rigor mortis. The Matrix allowed them to move, but they still weren't serious opponents for the hermit, Makak said. Mobs to farm hero awesomeness points, the hermit realized, and started earning those points with a series of simple punches. After training with the chicken dragon, his internal processor worked faster and his reaction speed increased. So the steepness farming went on without a hitch. His movements had yet to keep up with the speed of perception, the hermit noted. But the current level for mindless, rotting corpses was quite enough. The corpses acted on reflexes, but they're not capable of much more than that, Chicken Dragon said. The select miasmas of procrastination hit the hermit's nose again. What an abomination! He tried to plug his nose, but the odor wafted through, even as he inhaled with his mouth. So that's where the noise was coming from, a voice suddenly boomed in the morgue. And here we have visitors, the Frankenstein girl said. Hello. Damn it, Wonder Woman, what an abomination, said the hermit. Even the menagerie lost the gift of speech upon inspecting the Transformer model. You don't understand anything about beauty and practicality, the Chimera smiled. Why did you come? The Frankenstein girl asked. So she is a tuner, the hermit asked, and the girl nodded. A mortal cannot understand the beauty of her body. Good of you to come. I needed a live test subject, the hermit heard. Just about done with the experiment, the Chimera said. She stepped forward, the one who controls everything in her tenacious paws and claws, said the Frankenstein girl. Queen of the Hive introduced herself to the reckless Transformer girl. This is what a tester is supposed to look like, the hermit asked in disgust. To hell with talking, needing to pull herself together, she pulled a couple of her limbs out. Burn the witch, recoiled the hermit from the vile sight. Dozens of insectoid tentacles and legs emerged from the crazed tuner. The hermit dodged, but the Chimera was hitting pretty hard. Stop with the Kunstkammer, he said, and gave the ugly girl a smack. The one recoiled from the staggering effect of the blow. Before that, only corpses could be opponents. The constructor with the name Build-A-Girl fell on its back. Is that it? Wondered the hermit. Is she kidding? He asked the arthropod tester. Too weird, suspected Makakis. No way, said he. It's her body, said the Monkey King, first noticing its features. A strange magic ignited inside her ruined body, the hermit saw. The ground suddenly shook beneath his feet. The hermit understood nothing. Two huge searchlights peered out at him from the darkness, the eyes of an immense monster. Even the spiritual menagerie was stunned at this reversal. And the guest is no ordinary person, said the monster in Chimera's voice. How would a normal person get here? Asked the mad hermit to the foolish tester. As soon as such a goofball got a position in the Matrix, he provoked Chimera. From above, Chicken Dragon shouted to him over the telepathic bridge. "No way!" said the gaping hermit, looking up. The magical attack hit with a radius, so he barely dodged. His feet froze, and the monster attacked again with magic. The lightning discharges were slowly approaching. The hermit had turned on combat mode and could see them. He ducked at the last moment and donned the vest of a flea-bitten monkey. "Rusty!" the hermit shouted the command and swung harder, but the huge muzzle managed to dodge the wide blow. What kind of nonsense she had done to herself, wondered the Monkey King, watching the fight through the live broadcast. He felt the vibrations of different karma in her, his former associates and enemies. "Even the karma of the chicken dragon," Makak said to the snake. "That's it. She had connected the karmas of the murdered illegals," Makak realized. "The ugly millipede laughed throughout the castle, so he has helpers," she said. "That's not the whole puzzle," Chicken Dragon said, also taking a good look at the creeper. "A worm able to utilize the karma it has joined," he remarked. "The lightning that struck earlier belonged to a snake," agreed the Monkey King. "And ice crystals from Master Procrastination's freezer," the hermit confirmed. "What clever mortals," laughed the vile arthropod chimera. The hermit watched the beast crawl out of the deep hole. The zookeeper on the way out was also stunned, disgusted, looking at the ugly woman. The queen of the hive spilled out all of her cock-headed bods. "And this is a queen," the hermit grimaced, "more like a shabled host." "This body is excellent. Provocations are useless," the monster rumbled. "Useless, as it were, who had just gone off the chain," replied the hermit. "So," demanded Hive, "the adjuster," the chimera mumbled, showing signs of schizophrenia. Lord of Corpses and their abilities, flapped the chimera's mouth in a fit of megalomania. "The diagnosis is not comforting," thought the hermit. "And why all his opponents are brain-dead? The Matrix has had a bad effect on them. Better be careful," said Chicken Dragon. "The chimera has quite a few karmas. At least several hundred," he added, warning the hermit. "Okay, coddle, move," pushed away from the microphone, Snake the Monkey King. The chimera gathered all available mana and hid ominously behind a stone ledge. What a toxic energy! The hermit unwound the bailout stick in the manner of a fan. "Look around too," the hairy macaca warned him again. A firestorm of many fireballs flew at the hermit. Along with him, waves of cold flew from the other side in a combined attack. The ghosts of regrets and poorly spoken phrases pounced from behind. Meteors, ice, flames, curses, a multitude of magical attacks spewed out at the hermit. "Pikachu, I choose you!" He squeezed the chicken dragon balloon. A barrage of light flashes engulfed the entire battlefield. The hermit aimed a powerful punch towards the chimera. Get shouted he did. And in one fell swoop, he blew up the rock behind which it was hiding, throwing the millipede into the air. "Here I am," he said, and landed in the area of the back of the parasite's head. The chimera released the spikes from its neck to block the surprise attack. But the hermit had already released the power of a divine fetishist with many hands. The mad hermit went full blast, and there was a monstrous explosion. The millipede lay torn to shreds after such a magical attack. But the vile arthropod creature was still moving. And now the mad hermit rushed toward chimera. But suddenly her bodies interlocked like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. Body recovered, the hermit realized the unpleasant news. Hyunwoo once again dodged a series of lightning attacks, the monster attacking immediately as it recovered. He approached and swung the telescopic thunderbolt properly. The hermit nailed the schizophrenic girl so hard that sparks sprinkled from her eyes, but suddenly discovered a magical barrier in front of him. "What a wall!" tapped the hermit on the transparent barrier in front of him. The dragon empress was breathing heavily, emitting a bloody aura. Lolidemonis looked anxiously at her ward. The girl was doing well at first, but accepting the mind of all the yokai was still a bit difficult for her. The dragon empress smiled a devilish grin. "Ended up losing her mind," Lowly Demon sadly remarked. "What's the firewall?" the mad hermit asked the team from the zoo. "It looks like the earthen wall of Horseshoe Mountain," Monkey replied thoughtfully. "The energy is the same, only it's been made transparent with different karma," Macaque suggested. "That's not the problem. Better look at her body. It seems the chimera has infused most of her powers into regeneration karma," Monkey said. The farther into the forest, the thicker the partisans. Scratched the back of his head, the mad hermit. "So we need to beat up the creep, faster than recovering," he said. "I thought to leave the guest intact, but I guess it wasn't meant to be. Chimera excused herself. Especially for you, I'll show you my true colors. The chimera rumbled with a rotting mouth and bit her own tail, sinking her sharp teeth deep into it. What kind of auto-cannibalism? Exclaimed the hermit, the menagerie huffing again at the bizarre creature. The chimera curled into a tight cocoon and emitted an aura of dark mana. It now looked like a slimy ball of rotting flesh with an eye of rotting flesh. The lump of rottenness attacked with a multitude of thin cockroach legs. The speed of his attacks had increased greatly, and the hermit was barely dodging everyone. He moved close to the mythbo to stretch him properly, but Hrensgora's transparent magical barrier got in the way again. He was attacked by black lightning, but Hyunwoo repelled it with a bloody aura. He stopped to see if his attacks had worked or not. Once again, a multitude of legs flew toward him from one point. Rotten tentacles tried to surround, but the hermit fended them off with a bailout stick. The eyeballed thing regenerated literally from a piece of flesh. If even that's not enough, we need to come up trumps, the hermit decided. Let's check out the new technique, he said, as he prepared a sheaf of electric arcs. With a kick, he tossed the stinking ball of flesh farther away to get out of range. But the cockroach's thin, nasty legs reached for him again. A pain in the sciatic, clenching his teeth, the hermit dodged a multitude of attacks. Cuttlefish, covered in sinister mana, and fully recovered. Not bad, thought the hermit. His opponent wasn't particularly powerful. Balls of ice flew towards him again, the creature switching to ranged attacks. Hyunwoo easily knocked down the weak magic with a bailout stick. Fireballs flew in exactly the same order. The devil chimera had simple attack patterns that even the hermit became bored. He easily repelled the already known sequence of magic shots, but even so, the problems didn't end. Not too absolute a regeneration power for such a rotten thing, strained the hermit. If he procrastinates any longer, he'll simply run out of strength and the creature will win. The chicken dragon swept up the same thing. Time to wrap up, said he. Better suggest a weak spot, admirals, shouted Hyunwoo to the menagerie. But he is gone, replied the monkey king. A monster almost immortal, agreed the chicken snake. But there is one oddity, said the sly Macacus, stretching his words to annoy the hermit. At first, he thought all the karmas were gathered in the center of the huge body, coddling the furry one while the hermit was beaten to death. There's a karma battery, Macaque concluded, somewhere outside the body. Indeed, realized chicken dragon, agreeing with monkey. You can whenever you want, said the serpent. At least you're good for something, Fleabag. All you can do is fly and shit. The hermit heard his friends bickering again and shouted to them to look for vulnerability, not talk. What were those strange sounds? The hermit froze for a second to look around. A huge fireball flew at him, covering his entire field of view. The magic swept past, scorching the skin on his face. He barely dodged it. The snake wagged its tail as if it had noticed something wrong the dragon had said to the hermit. Is it true, Captain? Asked the hermit, dodging another attack. There is a faint connection between the pillar and the cliff, Chicken Dragon outlined. The hermit looked at the lone stalactite that stuck out like an antenna. All the other stalactites had long since collapsed, but this one remained intact, he noticed. Hyunwoo decided to quickly check their guesses and rushed towards the target. Meat Thing tried to hold him back by freezing his legs off. Oh, if she's reacting like that, there's definitely something there, the hermit exclaimed. Don't, Uncle, yelled the strange creature after the mad hermit. The level boss got nervous, how wonderful, gloated Hyunwoo, and with a mighty kick, he broke the stone pillar to pieces. A magic crystal shone brightly in the middle. Good thing I didn't have to gut anything, the hermit thought. There goes the Koshai's needle, said Chicken Dragon, recognizing the item he was looking for. Thanks, Cap, the mad hermit answered him and held out his hand for the crystal. All the claws that MIT Boy had on hand reached out to Hyunwoo, but he had already managed to mercilessly crush the beautiful trinket. Deep in the yokai Tabor, a mad dragon empress ran rampant, tearing immortal images with her bare hands and bathing in their blood. A normal person would have lost their mind long ago, Lowly Demon remarked. But the girl held on. Albeit faintly, reason still flowed in her frantic head. The craving for madness was getting stronger and stronger. Every second she could lose control completely. She tore the monsters apart over and over again, and it wasn't enough for her. The meatball shrank, its magical connection to the source severed. It was writhing in agony, cursing the mortal who'd taken karmas. The beast unleashed its last magical powers on the hermit, hoping to defeat it with a single attack. "Time is short," suggested the Monkey King. "We must hurry," he stated the obvious. Fed up with the admirals, the hermit gritted his teeth and dodged the schizophrenic monster. The time of borrowed karma with the fleabag vest was coming to an end, Hyunwoo realized. "Now let's go full castaway," the mad hermit decided. Thunderclouds suddenly gathered in the dark cave. Who touched the climate control, wondered the tester. Dragon troll mode on, the mad hermit plugged in his horns. This is where it ends now. He gathered a tremendous amount of power on his fingertip. Mana from the clouds rushed towards his outstretched finger as he put his hand up. What a trick. The ugly creature was horrified, sensing something amiss. To interrupt the hermit's cast, simple but powerful spells flew at him again. But he still stood unwaveringly without canceling the cast of magic. The art of the Tao, it's not like showing electroshock tricks Chicken Dragon taught him. Let the energy into the sky and seize space, the hermit recalled practicing the Tao. Add a drop of ink to it, don't try to make it perfect, the dragon taught. Just enough to touch the clouds with your energy. At the very end, unleash all the lightning that you have into everything that moves. Outline the essence of the Tao of the Chicken Dragon. This is the essence of the lightning tree technique created by the Chicken Dragon. The craving for madness overtook the devoted student with a headache. He stopped hearing his thoughts altogether. The momentum didn't wane despite the fact that she'd already held on so long. Maybe that kind of strength would be enough. She's already holding on longer than last time. The apprentice doubted. Maybe she should go after her secret desires already, she thought. How much can you hold back and wear yourself out? Whispered a voice from within. Why become someone's puppet apprentice? Suddenly heard the master's voice. She looked in his direction. The demons inside subsided and retreated at once. He appeared before her as he had the first time, mysterious and majestic. Is she so weak as to not believe in herself? The hermit image asked. All because of her parents for controlling her like a puppet on a leash, he asked. Since that was the case, nothing needs to be changed, wondered the foreman. If the past bothers you so much, just blot it out, erase it from your memory, the mad hermit advised. And reassemble yourself from now on as if your birthday is today, he said. Past erased, he gave her a new name after a session of intense psychotherapy. Her name is Miriong, the image of the mad hermit smiled. The rotten scolopendra squirmed in the hundreds of lightning discharges that burned through it. The shock therapy worked perfectly on the schizophrenic girl. She was squirming in pain. That was a good one, the hermit marveled, pleased with the result. In past fights where he fought smaller opponents, such a technique could not be used, but on a huge scolopendra, it would be fine. A useful thing these Taos of yours are, the mad hermit realized, casting aside past prejudices. From the strong recoil, the lightning bolts blocked the monster's regeneration. That you're not recovering anymore, he told the rotten sod. Here he bit the electrode. It will be easier now, he soothed the dead animal. It won't hurt because the current will vaporize the nerve tissue faster, the caring vet explained. Rusty, he pulled out his stick, tearing his body from muzzle to tail into small pieces. The dragon-headed scolopendra let out one last pitiful wheeze. The mad hermit exhaled and surrendered the flea-bagged robe to the owner without even washing it. A dropped tester item appeared in his hand. Some of the information about it was hidden by the system as usual. A secret place was set up for experiments. Something there, Hyunwoo read. If it's a developer's key, there's definitely something inside, the hermit realized. I'll just pick it up and show it to Noah, the lazy hermit decided. He pulled a ring from his pocket and commanded a cloud of duri. Now needing to find a way out, the hermit soared over the mountain of corpses. He hovered slowly, trying to figure out where to go. Topographical cretinism was taking its toll. It seems to go to the south, Chicken Dragon suggested. Or west, the serpent hesitated. His orienteering wasn't any better. Just stand on the cloud and look around the walls, suggested the hairy macaque. The Dragon Empress came to her senses after remembering her teacher. The crowd of yokai surrounded the girl again, but now she felt empowered. She gathered Demonololi's energy around her, letting the rubber diaspora get closer. Perfect, patted her demoness who was watching the battle from the side. The damsel was talented and very quickly mastered Loli's power. With nothing else to do, out with the stuff, the devilish constructed a portal. But the girl hesitated, not knowing where to begin this conversation. "What's the matter?" the cunning demoness asked. She knew what it was, of course, but watching the innocent maiden tremble was a pleasure. This crumpled the innocent but very persistent student, becoming suddenly meek. "Give me the secret weapon," she told the wily devilish. A secret weapon made the horned beast look incomprehensible. To hell with it all. The maiden couldn't stand it any longer and was about to run for her life. "Chill out, it's about which secret weapon she wants," the demoness reassured the girl. "An experienced lowly priestess should have more than one weapon," the devilish admonished. "Depending on the character, status, relationship, strategy of seduction can be different. Shared experience, priestess LOL. So one needs this and that, this way and that way." The more she spoke, the more the dragon empress's eyes flared. The girl liked it so much she didn't want to let go of the experienced lowly. "Each weapon has its place and time," said the demoness. "Here we play innocence, here seductress. It's the basics," she said. "But the choice is yours," the priestess of Lole shared. "I'm not sure what will work. On the mentor," she answered Miriong's question. "There are two things. The first attack a little bit, but persistently, signs of attention, light touches, but most importantly, persistently. Stubbornly," wondered the mad student. "Right," agreed the demoness. "That was the only way to achieve an unusual atmosphere." But at what point? The innocent maiden, like the hermit, confused her social skills. "Well, or solve everything in one salvo," continued the devilish, risky, but if it works, depicted the devilish obscenities. But the clueless dragon empress still didn't understand anything, and she knew love from children's fairy tales. "How much easier," Priestess Lole clenched Miriong's cheeks. "Fast but risky, slow but sure," explained the devilish essence of the choice. But what else could a mad apprentice, a mad hermit, choose? It was a warm spring day. He was lying on her warm lap. She was stroking his hair with a gentle hand. The gentle rays of the sun warmed the couple that couldn't take their eyes off each other. The girl looked at him with her ruby eyes in love. He couldn't resist her innocence, and his hand reached up to pluck that flower. For a moment she staggered back, not knowing what to do, but then bent to meet him like a flower after a rainstorm. Cutie Seo Yan's ears were slowly turning red from the pages she had just read. She looked away for a moment, took a breath, and went back to reading. In the end, this love fanfic pulled her in really hard, and she was curious to know what was next. It's not every day you read about your significant others. Especially since what was written was not without merit, the apprentice really did not move away from her master, the girl tensely pondered. She's usually completely unemotional, as if she doesn't care about anything, remembered cute Seo Yan. Written clearly fiction, but the author wrote very vividly. I wanted to know the sequel. Arrived, the driver interrupted the embarrassed beauty's pondering. "Is there a magical teleportation circle here?" asked the fox Alice, when they found themselves at the mini replica of the Forbidden City. They came to experiment with magic circles. As soon as they showed up, they were already greeted by a cute Seo Yan who noticed the minions. They suddenly formed 2 rows as if they were holding an official reception at the Imperial Palace. The Dragon Empress's servants were letting them through so they could enter, decided the girls. "It's a big building. Maybe we should split up and find the circle faster." "Ah," heard a languid sigh coming from the closed room. Cutie Seo Yan. Ooh, what a sound surprised pretty girl, and peeked inside. "Teacher!" A languid, high-pitched voice came out, and the cute Seo Yan was stunned. "First floor," said the eyed devil who had just begun her ascent. "But what is it?" He noticed a peacefully snoring body, not far away. "The examiner's out of it, red-faced, drunk or something. What the devils are here, a replacement or something," heard the red-faced one. "The eyes in the back of my head," considered the guy in the tracksuit who entered. "The new examiner?" asked the red devil of the guy who entered. "Heard there's a lot of funny types in the tower, right on," laughed the devil. "I'm so sick of these lunatics. The morgue is nearby if anything," the hermit replied. "You're cheeky, have some more fun," said the devil, but got a sleeping pill in the form of a slipper. "Sleep a little," said the mad hermit, and put the red-faced man to bed. "Mocking the weak is not good, it's embarrassing," sneered Hyunwoo's beasts. The first Catwoman arched her back, too hard and tense than required, but her talents were in her face. A little more curve and lift, she twisted her hips in front of the mirror. But it's so embarrassing. Do we have to do this? The Dragon Empress thought to herself,